And we're back. Sorry, guys. Internet went out. Technology failed me. Is it working? Are we live? I think we are. I think we're good. Barely. Chat, if you're here, let me know if you can hear me. I very much apologize for the technological drawbacks as we're trying to go through everything that Lawrence Frank said today at his exit interview. Can somebody type in the chat if you can hear me? Please. I'd appreciate it. Adam, we're back. Okay, ice cold beverage has me. So let's get right back into it. Lawrence Frank also said today, Clippers players felt like they were contenders once Kawhi Leonard reached a high level of play this season. While teams' focus this year overall was on being competitive, he said, quote, I still think this group can be very, very good next year. I think it's possible as well. It really just comes down to how many games can Kawhi play? How can they get maybe a better backup point guard situation, a better backup center situation, and maybe the perfect power forward to play next to Ivica Zubac, which means he has to shoot, defend, and rebound. Not easy to find that guy. But I have faith in Lawrence Frank to do so, and if they can do all that, yeah, they can probably win more than 50 games if they have more games from Kawhi Leonard. Lawrence Frank said, quote, at some point this year or the following year, we probably won't be in the tax to reset the repeater tax. So that is part of the reason that they've been trying to get under it, to not have the repeater tax on them. He already said earlier, we'll have the non-taxpayer mid-level exception. So it seems like they're going to be under the tax again. Lawrence Frank on Norman Powell, quote, there's no way we win 50 games without Norman Powell's first 3 months. This is true. He gave more love to Norman Powell, saying, quote, he was the living example of addition by subtraction. He was. He said it. What about potential extensions with Norman Powell this offseason? Quote, at the appropriate time, we will sit down with his representation and see what makes sense for both sides. I don't know how you guys feel about that. We just had a caller talking about Norman Powell before the audio went out. And I've already mentioned that I think he is somebody that you could possibly move. Lawrence Frank recalling that the Clippers made a 3-year offer to Paul George for him to be on this team with Kawhi Leonard and James Harden, while making the point that the Clippers will try and remain a destination for the best team possible. How do you guys feel about Norman Powell moving forward? I'm interested in that. You guys are just getting back in here. I don't think it's a guarantee that Norman Powell will be on the team. game 1. I love Norman Powell, but if his side's asking for an extension and they can't come to an agreement, and they probably know his role is likely best coming off the bench. For a team with championship aspirations, if that's where they think they're at, then Norman Powell should probably be a 6th man on that team. His defense isn't good enough. His ball handling isn't good enough. If he's not scoring, he's not helping in many ways. Lawrence Frank identifies, quote, front court help, playmaking, and shooting as areas of need. Law Murray pointed out the first one, front court help, been a Clippers midseason quest for 3 years. Perhaps it is an off-season priority for once. Whether that means a better backup center or a starting power forward that can defend, shoot, and rebound, hard to find. But those are the things that need to be addressed. Front court help, playmaking, and shooting. Lawrence Frank knows what this is. He also called it a dark, dark day for all of us when they traded Nico Batum in the James Harden deal 18 months ago. Frank went on to say that they desperately want Nico to come back and hope he feels the same. Nico already said post-game that if they want me back, I'm back, basically. In fact, I think I have that audio for you.
I am taking care of this. We watched the tape. It's maybe too early to say that, but we were just willingness tonight. Now there's more defense, just like we didn't show that tonight.
Here it is.
Thanks, Nico.
Wait, no, that wasn't it. Here was Nico post game after Game 7.
This game, what actually happened? You think? And what was it? I think maybe. I mean, at this point of this series, like Game 7, is no tactics. Just wants it more, and they clearly wanted more than us tonight.
How do you evaluate this season from beginning to end?
I mean, we still have expectation, though. I think we showed the way we played. We wanted to achieve a bigger thing for sure. So it's kind of disappointing right now. Even if we show some good stuff, even if people don't really expect anything from us, we don't really care about that because we expected things from ourselves, and we didn't show that tonight.
Nico Batum, this was post game after Game 7.
What made you want to come back here? You've been here once before, but you came back again.
Yeah.
What was it about this
I
team?
mean, like I said, they gave me a chance when I was pretty much done playing basketball. They gave me a chance 5 years later to be in this spot and playing those type of games. So, I mean, I hold them a lot, for sure. Hold them a lot.
Are you going to be back next year?
They want me to.
He said yes, if they want me to.
Are you going to be back next year?
They want me to.
If they want you to.
They want him to. Nico's going to be back, so we don't have to worry about that. But just to put that to rest right now, Nico Batum is coming back. Lawrence Frank mentioned how important positional size is. Law commented, so you can cross off some of those point guards that I've seen photoshopped over the weekend. Let's see. Lawrence Frank said, quote, I have a deep affinity for this organization and the people who follow them, the fans who, whether they're on podcasts or blogging or Xing or blue skying, I have a deep appreciation for our fans, the passion that we have. Lawrence Frank said, quote, everyone lives it. It's a passion. It means a lot. I've been with different NBA teams, different markets, and I have a deep affinity for all of the Clippers fans and Clippers supporters. Lawrence Frank recognizes you guys. Again, if you want to get back on, 877-520-1150, 877-520-1150. We're still talking about Game 7. We're talking about the season. We're also looking ahead a little bit. So if you guys want to call in now that we're back up and fully operational, if you missed part 1, that video stopped abruptly, I guess, because internet connection issues here at iHeart. I don't know. Somebody reset the router. That's what I saw. Lawrence Frank put a number on where Jordan Miller needs to be next season on open spot up threes. He said on open spot up threes, Jordan Miller needs to be at 37% minimum. I'd love to know the number he was at this year, but it was maybe half that. He wasn't great. I can at least tell you what Jordan Miller shot from 3. This is a lot about confidence. Once they adjusted to him and they stopped him from getting to his spots on the floor, he seemed to lose his confidence. He shot 21% on 1 3-point attempt a game in the 37 games Jordan Miller played in this season. But that doesn't tell you spot up open threes. It just tells you overall threes, 21%. Lawrence Frank is discussing Kobe Brown as a player whose advantage is more likely to come at center at the 5. They gave him some reps there in training camp. But both those guys are 25 now. And one of the few failures, I would say, this season was that they didn't develop any of their young guys. Now, if they did, they're not winning 50 games also. You got to understand that trade-off. If you're developing more guys, young guys, you're going to take your lumps and take some losses. All right, we got a caller here, 877-520-1150. Welcome into Clipper Stock. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hello, Adam.
Who this?
Miss Shake.
Miss Shakes, what up? How was Denver?
Oh my gosh, it was so fun. I had a blast.
Can you tell me about the experience, how that came about with Steve Ballmer flying, 120 people out from the wall, from the swell?
125. So basically what happened was right after Game 7, not Game 7, Game 6, we actually had received an email. And they were just basically saying, we're looking for the best fans. You guys have been riding with us the whole time. First come, first serve, RSVP. They told us that they would have, he has the flight and the game ticket, and we have everything else. And we did it, and it was fun. It was a great time.
Did you fly out Saturday morning?
Yes. So around 9 a.m. We had to be there around 9 a.m.
Oh, LAX?
It was fun. It was a good time. LAX was private. I feel like I'm giving a lot of information, but yeah, it was private.
How cool is that? Who was on the plane with you? I think I saw Lauren Rosen there.
Lauren was there. I met her. Yeah, I told her. I'm like, I always listen to Adam, even though he gets on my nerves.
That's fair.
No, but I was like, I love you, whatever. So yeah, she was there. Of course, Casey was there, the leader of the team.
Mm-hmm.
There was a lot of Clipper staff, like a lot of the social media team was there.
That's awesome. Like,
it was great.
What was the environment, I guess, before the game versus after the game? Did you get into any quarrels with Denver Nuggets fans? Were they shocked when they saw you guys walk in?
Okay, first of all, I feel like you should be paying me for this interview. I'm just kidding. No, okay, so basically, before the energy was electric, everyone was excited. We didn't know what to expect, but we were all just so grateful. It was just an amazing experience. So we got there. They gave us T-shirts that said, it was like a Clippers red T-shirt. They gave us like little floaties, the little hand clappers. We were not able to use those. Denver was hating. But so once we got there, we kind of pulled up and they gave us all of our tickets. We were on the floor. They gave us our tickets and we got through we went to the specific security, went up, and all you see is just like a sea of red. And everyone was like looking at us like, what is happening? And as soon as you see the swell, it was as soon as they saw the swell, like us pull up, everyone was like, what is going on? So the energy in the stadium was a little chill. But once they had experienced us, we were loud, we stood up. They even told us hey, you guys should be mindful if people in Denver are sitting down, just have a seat. Don't even just be mindful, be respectful. We said, okay. I even told this guy behind him, hey, if you need me to sit down, go ahead, let me know. He's like, no, I'm standing up with you guys. You guys, this is amazing. We've never had an experience like that. We're more chill, but they were loud. We were going like, every time they said defense, we said offense. Every time we said, let's go Clippers, they're like, so it was fun. We just had a great time. Not many quarrels, but I feel like some people were getting upset. Some people were rude, but they hugged us and was like, this is the best game I've ever been to. We've never experienced anything like this.
Wow. I'm not going to lie. When I saw the photos coming out, I had major FOMO. I was like, oh, I wish I was there at Ball Arena. You guys took over. You infiltrated Ball Arena. Impressive. So not too much bickering.
Sorry,
Not too much bickering with Denver fans.
No. A lot of them actually came up to us and wanted to take pictures. We have pictures with a lot of the Denver team. However, towards the end, when we were walking out, then they started being like, FLA, and it started like basically booing us as we were walking. We had the walk of shame, but we didn't care. We tried to stay in good spirits. I think we kind of knew it was over at the end of third quarter. I was like cheering, but they were flipping us off.
Wow.
Yeah, they were kind of mad, but like where we were at, we were just having a good time. We were like, hey, we have to keep the same energy. We came in with the energy. You have to keep it throughout.
I got a lot of respect for the Wall and the Swell and the job they did all season long. Seeing you guys travel for a road game and a game 7 is one of the coolest things I've ever seen an owner do. So that's a really, really cool experience. I'm jelly. I'm very jealous, Ms. Shakes.
Can I actually kind of plug the Swell, even though like everyone knows, or some of y'all know I'm a leader. I am actually one of the first leaders, inaugural leader when we were at crypto.com. Before it became the Swell. But if you guys have not experienced it, I would say please do. It is not that expensive. It's actually pretty reasonable. They give you so many perks. You have fun. As you can see, we were flown out to Denver, but a lot of people are like, oh, I want to join. I purchased a ticket to the Wall. It's like, well, just get into the Swell. You'll have more fun.
Is it true? Somebody in here, Mio's saying you guys started an F the Lakers chant at the half together with Denver fans?
No, absolutely not.
Okay, yeah. I'm just reading what somebody in the chat's saying, Mio. I was like, did
well, there were so... sorry.
You go ahead. After you.
I was going to say there were so many of us. I was in the front, and we did kind of extend towards like the back of the front, the back of it. So I don't know. I wasn't with everyone, so maybe they did, but we didn't get reprimanded for that. So I don't think that happened.
Okay, good. I think. Overall, you called in though, and I started getting the intel on what that experience was like. But what was the main reason you wanted to call in, Miss Shakes? What do you want to talk about?
Okay, so I'm a Kawhi person. I really love Kawhi, obviously. I love the entire team, but I do feel like we need to, I know everyone has to blame someone, and everyone's been disappointed in Kawhi all these years. I feel like just like with all of our superstars, even you said about Joker, and even with Steph, they haven't had a great series. And it's because they've been doubled, they've been tripled. I do wish that Kawhi was a little bit more aggressive. However, when your role players aren't making shots, what more do we want him to do?
I guess, well, you mentioned it, the aggressiveness. I would want him to take, 20 shots, even though I know he only played 3 quarters, really. Just put the game in your hands a little bit more. I'm definitely not saying they lost the series because Kawhi. I think there's plenty of blame to go around. I think he deserves some criticism. So does James Harden. So do the role players. So does Coach Lue. Like, there's plenty of blame to go around. And there's also the fact that we just have to acknowledge that Denver stepped up. So it's disappointing. I think for most fans, it's just the fact they had Kawhi healthy for a series and they still lost.
Yeah, I understand. I just feel like Kawhi is an easy target. He's not going to respond. He did show up for media, which I was actually surprised that he showed up and James Harden didn't.
James didn't show up the last 3 games they lost, which was disappointing.
Yeah.
Kawhi is always accountable after a game 7. He's always showed up.
Okay, so I know that last year, was it last year or the year he didn't play last year? The year before, I don't think he showed up, and I was kind of disappointed. Or no, maybe it was because they didn't do end of year interviews, end of season interviews, which I feel like all of the players should show up for.
Apparently, teams aren't really doing the exit interviews with players anymore. It's basically that last game of the season is your last chance to get them. But the only reason he didn't show up against, Dallas or Phoenix, because he didn't finish the series, so he wasn't at the podium afterwards.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
But he showed up in the bubble.
Also,
I remember him on the Zoom call in the bubble. Kawhi has been accountable when he's finished a series and they lost.
So then my question, do you think that we should look into getting more role players who can shoot, or are you happy with who we have?
I'm always for more shooting, and Lawrence Frank said that was one of the things, more shooting, more playmaking, and front court help. You can never have enough shooters. The problem is, can you have guys that also aren't liabilities on the defensive end? And those guys are harder to find.
Yeah.
Like Bogey's a good shooter. He didn't have a great series, but he also is being hunted at times defensively. He has drawbacks to his game. Norman Powell's a good shooter, but he's not a great defender. Can you find more guys that have less flaws?
I agree with that. I do think also it's a mentality thing with our team. We need people who could finish. I just feel like once, and this is one reason why I love PG, but I can't stand him. I feel like he had a loser mentality. So whenever someone folded, he would fold, and the entire team was full. So we just need someone who's like, listen, light a fire up your butt and be like, hey, we gotta finish this out. We didn't get this far for no reason. So I feel like we need someone who, like Chris Dunn said, who has that dog in them. And I feel like the guys that we traded, I was happy with the trade. But I feel like even when we were losing, they continued to fight until the end. They were scrappy.
I agree. I think what you said about it's a mentality thing, they have to be better in that area. They do. Like you can't let your will be taken from you or take the fight out of you like Denver did in that game 7. That's what I saw.
I agree. It was so good. Like they could hear us. The crowd was behind them, but for some reason, once they got down by, was it 7 or 10, it was like there was no coming back.
Yeah, you're right. And that's devastating for that to happen in game 7. And I'm glad Lawrence Frank acknowledged that immediately, that was an extremely disappointing way to lose, and players and coaches are mad about it. They didn't play their best the last game of the season. And you don't want to remember this team in that fashion. You don't want to remember them being a team that, gave in eventually. That's not who they were throughout most of this year.
It's not. And I feel that's the other thing is, even though like typically after Clippers games, I don't want to hear anything, which I'm not even trying to listen to the media, but I get mad at the organization. I'm not buying tickets, but I feel like the season overall, we were expected to be like only have 37 wins. We were expected to be 13th, but I feel like we I don't want to be overachieved, but I feel like we did pretty well. And then we increased our expectations and we're like, oh my gosh, we have a squad. Let's take it. And they showed us that they were a great squad. And so the letdown was huge because our expectations and what they showed us were just so high.
I think you're spot on. They set new expectations because they overachieved, and now you're expecting more, and then they eventually kind of let us down in the playoffs. That's what's tough.
It is, but I'm still gonna root for my team. And Adam, I have to tell you, I know I get on your nerves in the chat, but I am feisty. I love a good banter.
I like you more on the phone.
I know you. That's why I called in, because I was like, I love sports. I will talk football, basketball, whatever, hockey. So I'm very passionate about it. I love the banter, but you do an amazing job. And I feel like you should do like the rest of the playoffs. I've been saying in the chat. People will come to you because I'm always looking for someone to talk about my team. So if you're just like, start watching the games and give your analysis, you'll make money.
Yeah. I would do it if I could. I would totally do it if I could make enough. I don't know. It's not going to be enough, but I would love to be able to do it. I wish I could just talk ball and relate what other teams are doing and how the Clippers can learn from them in the playoffs and all these things. And I'm sure I'll do some off-season shows, and maybe I'll do a show once a week or something. We'll see what happens here. I just, rent's up. Rent's due.
I and you're in Burbank, so I'm up the street, so I get it.
Yeah. I just got the letter the other day. I was like, oh, going up 3% or 4% or whatever it is per year.
Mine was 9.
Ooh, they like me more.
Yeah. I was like, yeah. I've been here for like maybe 15 years, and so yeah, they're like,
Well, that's not fair.
Yeah.
I don't like hearing that. Well,
I know.
we all got a day job. We all got to figure things out, and I do too, I guess. So, but I appreciate the phone call. I appreciate the love, Miss Shakes, and it's good to put a voice to the chat name at least. And so now I know where you're coming from, and you put together a really good phone call. I love your points. So thanks for doing this.
Thank you so much. Like I said, it's all love. It's banter, and we'll hug it out. But I'm glad you got to at least see the personable side of me.
No, you came across very well here in this phone call, and we get into it in the chat, but it's all good. It's hard. Like, people sometimes get mad at me for going after people in the chat or making it. I'm not like, I have no idea who people are, if they're trolling, if they're serious, who they are in real life. Nobody knows who we really are hiding behind the keyboard. So it's good to actually get to talk to somebody. That's why I like taking calls. That's why it just makes it different.
Exactly.
You feel like you know somebody a lot better. So thanks for doing this.
You're welcome. Well, enjoy. You have a great day.
All right, Miss Shakes, you too. We got another phone call here on Clippers Talk. Oh, and they dropped. More from the Lawrence Frank presser. So I mentioned Kobe Brown. He talked about him playing more at the 5, at the center position. That is because he's not a good enough shooter, apparently, to play the 4. If he's going to play next to Ivica Zubac, you have to have a guy there who can shoot. Kobe Brown, so far, the shooting that he showed his last year at Mizzou has not translated, even into the G League, really. It's been disappointing because he shot like 46% and had this huge jump his last season in college, and that needed to translate for him to be an NBA player. It hasn't so far. I'm not giving up on him, but he shot even worse this year. He went from 29% last year from 3, and we're talking, let's see, he took 48 threes last year. He took 26 threes this year. It's not exactly high volume, but he hasn't shot well. I think he's been around 31%, 32% in the G League also from 3. That has needed to be better for Kobe Brown to really make a leap and battle for minutes. Hopefully he gets there. Lawrence Frank said this about Cam Christie, quote, "We got to get Cam Christie stronger." What does that make me think of here? Stronger? I feel like there's a soundbite for that.
Strong now, getting strong now, getting strong now.
He does need to get stronger. He's got the frame to put on some size, but he's on the thinner side. Max Christie was able to get stronger as he went along, his brother, with the Lakers, now with Dallas. More protein drinks, more protein shakes. I can help there. I think Cam Christie has a bright future because his shot is too pure to fail. I hope I don't eat my words here, but his 3-point shot is too pure to fail. It is some of the best form you will see. If you're a young basketball player and you want to model your shooting stroke after somebody, Cam Christie, not a bad guy to emulate. It looks like Michael Porter Jr. some, Devin Booker some. It is pretty, so pretty. He also said about Cam Christie, he's a streaky shooter, needs to be more consistent. Yes, he does. Lawrence Frank on Patrick Baldwin Jr. If he's going to be a 4, he needs to guard the perimeter better. If he's going to be a 5, he needs to be better in rim protection. They like the height shooting intersection, but right now he's kind of in no man's land because, as you said, If you're going to be a 4, you got to guard better on the outside. If you're going to be a 5, you got to guard better on the interior. Lawrence Frank wanted to make sure he ended his virtual presser by giving a shout out to the fans. I read some of that for you guys. The total presser was 52 minutes. And as Joey Lynn points out in a great tweet, the main takeaways from this Lawrence Frank presser is that the Clippers plan on running back the Kawhi Leonard and James Harden duo while maintaining financial flexibility going forward. He mentioned we'll have the non-taxpayer mid-level exception. That tells you they're going to be under the first apron again. Even though he said Ballmer's not afraid to spend, obviously he's not, but maybe this is not that year to go over the first apron, go over the second apron. It makes sense not to do that right now. The other thing Joey Lynn pointed out from the presser was they expect to be competitive again next season through internal improvement and roster additions. Beyond next season, they believe they're an attractive destination for future free agents. That is a really good way to summarize. Welcome into Clipper Stock. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, what's up, Adam?
Who this?
This is Alfonso from San Dimas.
Alfonso, what's up, man? What do you want to say?
Yeah, well, disappointing. I'm sad with the Clippers, how they showed embarrassing in Game 7. But I know with Frank, I was overhearing Frank saying, like young players haven't been playing for the Clippers because they're not good enough or they don't give them a chance. But I know we got a first-round pick, 30th pick. So again, I guess another player that's gonna just sit on the bench. I'm not sure we're able to just trade that pick or I'm not sure. Upgrading the roster, I'm not sure, unless they're going to wait for agency, I'm not sure what's going on with that as well. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they have a late first-round pick. Do you take a player there? Do you package it with Norman Powell to get a piece in an area that you need to improve? There are a lot of decisions to make, but he did say this about the Norman Powell extension, quote, "There's nothing better than when you have guys who have been in the organization and that you can financially take care of. And we also share the big picture. This is how we plan on building the team and see if it's a marriage that makes sense." So I don't think it's a sure thing that Norman Powell is there opening night. I don't. If he wants more money, then they think is reasonable for also being able to manage their future. They could be at an impasse. We'll see.
Yeah. I was hearing about Norm as well, saying he's not good enough to. He's not shooting and he's not good enough defensive wise. So like you said, like you just said, with him, trading him to upgrade the roster. So we'll see what happens, because I know they said they got the mid-level exception again, but hopefully that won't be the only data minimum veteran pickups. Hopefully that's not the only upgrades we do this year.
Yeah, I don't think it will be. I think, honestly, there's a real good chance they address the power forward need, but it's also just complicated. The guys that they need have to be able to shoot, defend, and rebound, and those guys make a lot of money. So while knowing the need you have, knowing the need and being able to fill it easily are two different things.
Yeah, I'm sorry for cutting you off. I was looking at the free agents. I don't think there's really somebody you could just put in the starting lineup as well. It probably has to be through trade if you're trying to get a starter, power forward and or backup center, I guess.
Yeah, it's complicated. If you trade Norman Powell, that's the route to me to getting that power forward. I think trading Norman Powell could achieve finding the type of power forward they need or the type of ball handler.
Yeah, that's what my second thing I was about to say. Like, I know Harden is getting up there in age. He did good. Of course, he didn't do good Game 7 and Game 5, the 2 blowout games, but Clippers need a backup point guard that could give them some, time off, especially playoff time. So I think I saw Malcolm Brogdon available possibly for agency, but other than that, I don't know who else you could get.
Yeah, I haven't looked at, because we'll do that show eventually, all the players who are free agents this season, and also what guys actually could be on the trade block from other teams that you could dangle Norman Powell at or somebody else and make a move for. So there's a lot of variables. It's still playoff time, we're a ways away.
Yeah, I know. It's just like it's like you guys just don't want to stop talking Clipper basketball because I was like Tyree Lue said, I was planning on OKC, but it didn't happen.
I know, man. I mean, I just said it's still playoff time, but unfortunately it's not for the Clippers. So anybody who wants to talk about the offseason stuff is more than welcome here, and we'll do those shows. So yeah, it's frustrating. All right, my friend.
I appreciate it, Adam. Thank you.
Thanks for calling in. Good phone call. We got another one here. Welcome into Clippers Talk. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
It's Clipper Chris.
Clipper Chris. He is loyal. He is a devoted listener here. How are we feeling? A couple days removed from the loss?
Well, it's like I try not to let it linger. I just figure, in the sports world, we have so many choices. We have the Dodgers, and even though it might not, be a sport to some people, I enjoy watching WWE wrestling. So tonight there's Monday Night Raw. So, I have other things that keep my mind occupied.
All right. What do you want to say about today's show? What we heard from Lawrence Frank, Chris?
Yeah. I actually missed out what Lawrence Frank said because I just saw that you were live. So, I was thinking it's like I know everybody's down and all this. We lost in 7 and all this. And probably a silver lining was it wasn't one of those series where we were up 3-1 and we lost.
Here's the thing, though, and I tweeted this the other day. For me, it almost feels like this is overly dramatic, but it almost feels like they did blow the series in a way where it felt like almost an out of order 3-1 series loss. I put it like this. I said this is overly dramatic and Denver earned this series win and they were the better team, but in some weird way, it almost feels like the Clippers blew an out of order 3-1 lead or something. Just such a winnable series. That's how I feel.
Yeah, I mean, we should have. If we played better in Game 4, like you always stressed about how slow they started in games, and no different in Game 4. If we had played better in that at the beginning of that first game, we would have been up 3-1.
I know. To me, I remember texting Carlo Jimenez. I'm like, we got to get both here. Both these home games 3 and 4. That's how you win the series. Go up 3-1. Sure, they likely respond and win Game 5, but then you have a chance to close them out in Game 6. And that's why I predicted Clippers in 6. I thought they would be able to do that. And as Lawrence Frank said, we'll hear more from him coming up. They took it to him. They took it to the Clippers in Game 4. They were hungrier. They were the more desperate team, and the Clippers really didn't show up till they got down by 22 in the 4th. So it's not just the Aaron Gordon putback dunk. It's the start of that game where they did not look fully focused and ready the way the Denver Nuggets were.
Yeah, and then also just to let you know that even before Game 7 started, I was thinking, it's like, hey, which shirt should I wear? And I wore that same shirt that I wore when we played against the Warriors to close the season, the one that said "Fasten your seatbelts."
That's a good one.
And on the back it said it was from the 2006 playoffs.
Oh, where they made the run, beating Denver in 5 in the first round, eventually losing in 7 to the Phoenix Suns.
And I remember going to one of those games. I think I might have gone to. I don't know if it was Game 1 or 2, but I went to one of those games.
Right on, Chris. Yeah. That's why you're Clipper, Chris.
Yeah,
you're loyal.
Yeah, and then the other thing was to let you know about that series. I missed most of the Phoenix series because I went to the Philippines and I got married.
Wow! Right on, Mazel Tov! Congratulations.
Thank you. And one other thing that I thought on my head, you were talking about how Tyrone Lue said he was planning on playing against OKC in the next round.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it takes me back to something I heard from Super Bowl 12. It was the Cowboys versus the Broncos, and one of the Broncos, after they had lost, said, we went to the game thinking about winning, where the Cowboys were thinking about football.
I'll say this for that. I get what you're saying. I'll say this for the Coach Lue quote. I believe they asked him about the postseason and what are your plans, and that's why he said,
Yeah.
Well, I was thinking my plans were to play OKC, so now I don't know what I'm doing. I think that's important context to this.
Yeah.
All right, Chris. Appreciate you.
I always keep that statement in mind. Okay. Nice talking to you, Adam.
Good stuff, Chris, all season long. We got another phone call here on Clippers Talk with Adam Osland, 877-520-1150. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, Adam. This is BK from Sacramento.
BK, what's good? Been a while.
Yes, sir. I just wanted to say I told everyone at the beginning of the series that this is going to be a long, hard-fought series. That was going to be Game 6, Game 7 type of series. And I remember you said everyone in chat now is saying Clippers in 3, Clippers in 3. I knew it was going to be hard. But I'm feeling exhausted. I don't know how you feel, but exhausted. Am I surprised?
I've been there. Trust me. I'm a little bit tired as well, but we got more to talk about.
Exactly. Yeah. I am just disappointed in one player in particular. I would say his name is James Harden. Am I surprised or shocked? No, I'm not. But disappointed, I am. I had high hopes going to the season and the playoffs with how he was playing, but I was disappointed. I have a quick question for you.
Yeah.
I know Harden has a player option, and which I believe he'll opt in. Kawhi has 2 more years after this season, and everyone else is about 18 million or below, right? If I gave you the chance, let's play a little bit of GM here.
All
Would
right.
you blow up the team? I asked that because looking back at one of my favorite seasons was when we had Pat Bev, Lou Williams, SGA, right? Montrezl Harrell playing, right? I know that team wasn't anticipated to have lots of wins, but it was quite entertaining, and we took the Warriors in the playoffs, to Game 6, I believe.
Yep.
So if I gave you a chance, would you do it? Take off your Clippers employee hat right now. What would you like to see?
Again, like the Laker fan who called in earlier, I need specifics. Like, blow it up. What does that mean? What are they getting?
Sure. I would say sign and trade James Harden, maybe get a pick or get trade assets for picks. Kawhi, I'm not sure if you can move him at that age for $50 million for 2 more years.
Well, how do you blow it up then?
But then once you trade Harden and you trade some of the pieces, like you said, Norm, I'm sure Kawhi will probably want to leave and he'll ask for a trade.
Well, that makes you lose leverage for getting anything good for him.
Sure, but like we want picks. That's what I meant by blowing up, right? We want picks. You want your chance.
The problem is you
like
can't just
Bailey
take picks. You also have to match salary to some degree, so it's complicated. If you could get a first for James Harden and a decent young player, yeah, I'd think about it. Same with Kawhi. I'd think about both.
Okay.
Okay.
It was just a dot. Just a dot.
Yeah. No, I think it represents how a lot of Clipper Nation feels, that they would do the same. I just know it's not that simple. So we'll see. But it doesn't sound like that from the remarks from Lawrence Frank today, that's the direction they're going.
No problem. Thank you, Adam. Just wanted to say hi. Have a great off-season, man. I appreciate you letting me talk on here for for a minute. I appreciate you.
Thanks, BK. Thanks for calling in. I know you've been a regular here. Appreciate you, my friend. Be good.
Yes, sir. Okay.
All right, so I got some more Lawrence Frank audio. This is from La Murray posting on his X account.
I wasn't going to be in LA, and I also didn't want to delay this. So I apologize that we're not doing it in person. I hate that we're having a presser today and not much later in the postseason. The end is always so hard. There's so many emotions when a season ends, but especially this one because of everything the team and staff invested. Going into the playoffs, based on how we finished the season, we all thought we had a chance to do something very special.
Yes, we did.
But give Denver a great deal of credit. It wasn't just the brilliance of Jokic and Murray, but all their top 6 players made huge contributions in their wins. We definitely felt we had our opportunities. Look at Game 1, Game 4.
What have I been telling you guys? Game 1 and Game 4. I said it right after Game 1. Shouldn't have lost that game. Lawrence Frank, he knows what happened. He knows they had opportunities to win this series. It was a very winnable series. He gets it. Of course he does. But he's even expressing it here.
Huge contributions in their wins. We definitely felt we had our opportunities. You look at Game 1, Game 4. But the series, other than Game 7, came down to the slimmest of margins, and we came up short. What happened in Game 7, that was extremely embarrassing and also uncharacteristic of the determination and resilience we demonstrated all year.
I love hearing that. Hearing it hits harder than just reading the quote. He's firm about this.
But the series, other than Game 7, came down to the slimmest of margins, and we came up short. What happened in Game 7, that was extremely embarrassing and also uncharacteristic of the determination and resilience we demonstrated all year. Now, we know ultimately we're judged by what we do in the postseason, and we're disappointed with our playoff exit. And you don't get to this place right away. The loss is still raw. Our season being over is still raw. But when you have to do these post-game, end-of-season pressers, it does force you, at least from my perspective, to take myself and remove myself and put myself like, okay, if I was speaking to you a month from now, how would I feel about the season? Because it's different than how I feel about it right now. Right now, we all still want to be playing. Our players are embarrassed about Game 7, and they're really, really upset that we lost the series, as well as our coaches. But if I had a time machine and it zoomed me, a month from now, what would I say about our season? I'd still be disappointed that we lost in the playoffs. But I also would look back with both gratitude and a great deal of pride about the type of season we had over the last 6 months.
I think this is really relatable and well said by Lawrence Frank. He understands the pain we're all going through, obviously. Feels the same way about how the way this season ended, but it was a great season. It's hard to get there right now. It was, but it ended on a very sour note. More from Lawrence Frank.
Point on, what are the next steps you guys want to take to improve the team?
Yeah, well, I think first you always look, we have some free agents on our team, so we like to be in a position where we can retain them. First priority, obviously, James is a player option. So we'll have, discussions in terms of what he plans to do. Nico has a player option. We'll talk to Nico. And
that's done. Nico's coming back. He said so after Game 7.
Along with Amir and Ben, Patty, and Drew down the line.
I don't think Amir's coming back. Maybe Ben Simmons. I don't think Amir's coming back. After he didn't play at all in this series. He didn't play in garbage time. I don't think he's coming back.
Then, in terms of the tools we have the non-taxpayer mid-level, which is the same tool we used to sign Derrick Jones Jr. last summer.
So the non-taxpayer mid-level, that tells you they're not going over the tax. They're staying under the first apron again. That's showing your hand a little bit. And I'm fine with that. I think that's smart. they won 50 games being under the tax this season because Lawrence Frank was very nimble with making those great moves on the margins and pivoting after Paul George didn't take 3 years, 150.
Non-tax pyramid level, which is the same tool we used to sign Derrick Jones Jr. last summer. We also have some trade exceptions, and will always be an attractive place at the minimum market based on a history of not just how the guys making the minimum have played, but how we've taken care of them and rewarded them. The other plus factor we have is our best player only played 37 games this year. And this is the first healthy offseason he's had since 2020, which gives him an opportunity to get better. You know, when you're rehabbing from injuries, there's really no opportunity to get better. You're just trying to get back. And I think, you know, with how Kawhi works, the ability not just to add and refine, in which he's done really at every stop parts of his game, but also to regain some of the athleticism and the explosion that he was able to show in different spurts. I think he's starting from a really, really strong foundation compared to last year. Internal improvement's huge. You know, when we talk about Zoo and Norm and what they did to their games and the big jumps they made, opportunity is critical, but they took full advantage of it. So we expect not just for those guys to continue to get better, but we have other guys on our roster who can make jumps.
More from Lawrence Frank.
We've had some young players that we've liked, never really could get on the floor just because the guys in front of them were better, no fault of them, and they've gone on, they've gotten some opportunities elsewhere.
Moussa Diabate, Brandon Boston.
That happens, especially when you're in a situation that we're in where every year we're trying to compete. Like, regardless of the fact that we don't own our own draft for 4 years, just from an organizational philosophy from Steve, it's always about competing and giving our fans every single night. He wants them knowing we're trying to win. We're never trying to tank. And so sometimes that's where the rubber meets the road for young guys versus an experienced veteran. And I think we're constantly looking for ways to improve, you know?
It's such a tough balance. Do you want to play young guys or do you want to win? They're trying to compete. Some of those young guys showed themselves well this year. I mentioned Moussa and Brandon Boston. What'd their teams do? They lost badly. So you have to understand that.
Guys versus an experienced veteran. And I think we're constantly looking for ways to improve. You know, we have to draft the right player. We have to develop them. We also have to be able to give them a pathway. And yet we're balancing that. We're trying to win every single game we play.
There it is, the balance.
So it's not an easy solve, but to answer your question, yes, love to be able to get younger. And yet the same way, the primary mission is put ourselves in a chance to contend and maximize our season every single year we take the floor.
This is the task. It's a tough one. How do you compete while getting younger? Very difficult thing to achieve. Denver, to their credit, has done a good job with getting young guys going. Christian Brown was awesome in this series. I think this solidified him as really having a great season for them, and he played minutes when they won in 2023 in the NBA Finals. It's a hard thing to do. Their GM also got fired this year, so like they obviously didn't do enough good things with young players or retaining some of the veterans on their team. And yeah, I don't need to talk much about Denver, that situation. More from Lawrence Frank.
We really changed our season in a sense. You go back to...
I think it's this one I want first.
I say this with as much respect as I can. Obviously, it sounds like you're planning on having Kawhi and James on this team next season. What level of consideration have you given to one of those two guys not being a part of the team next season?
Yeah, I haven't given it any, but I also am respectful of the fact that James is a player option. So, with any of those scenarios, we all understand the business of basketball.
Here's the thing. This whole, we can't do the same thing again. There just isn't a guarantee that the same thing happens. Even if Harden struggles in a game 7, if other guys have played better, they could have still been competitive and won this series. You could say Harden has a long track record of not showing up in the elimination games, but they easily could have won this series, guys. To act like it was a guarantee that they had to lose or that's going to happen again, it's just not true. It's not. We had a caller earlier talk about teams staying the course and eventually you break through. The Dallas Mavericks, they had some real low points with Dirk Nowitzki until they broke through. To just give up and say, oh, it's going to happen again, I don't buy into that. I'm sorry.
Also am respectful of the fact that James is a player option. So, with any of those scenarios, we all understand the business of basketball. We were very, very happy with everything that we wanted from James. We got it and then some. When we initially traded for James, he was coming in as the third guy.
That's another thing people have to understand. He wasn't supposed to be the second guy on a championship team.
For James, he was coming in as the third guy. And as the offseason transpired, last offseason, and, we went in a different direction. For James to do what he did, initially we brought James, it was all about facilitating. And then when it was James this year with no Kawhi, with Norm and Zoo and the rest of the group, we really asked James to do a lot. And at his age, to deliver what he did, I know you guys do, and what I love about your group, and I say this really with an appreciation, is you guys are totally invested. I know you have to be objective, so when you're critical of us, you're critical, and we all respect it. But you guys are, I feel like you're part of the Clipper family and as such, and so I think you guys have a deep appreciation for what it means to lace it up and to show up every single night. 79 games. And he does that time and time and time again. We have a deep appreciation for that sort of availability and to be able to deliver and do what he did. March 4th, he really changed our season in the sense, you go back to March 4th, we're up 23 against Phoenix, playing some of the best basketball that we had to get to that lead. And then we blew it. Our transition defense was horrible. We blew the game. We come back the next night. We're shorthanded against the Detroit Pistons. And what did James do? Throwback. 50-point performance. And from that point on, I think we went 18-3. And I say that we have a great level of appreciation for what James did this year. Kawhi, you guys know how I feel about Kawhi. The empathy I feel, not just for Kawhi, but for any player who suffers multiple injuries, who puts so much into it. I look at it even from a personal lens, and maybe it's just too close for me, but people who deal with chronic illness, like when it's, in the NBA world, people associate injured players as a character flaw. It has nothing to do with character. Like these are your body parts. The only thing we ask our guys, do everything in your control to prevent injuries. And when you have them, put everything you can to rehab and recover from them.
Well said by Lawrence Frank, with how much backlash has come towards Kawhi Leonard over the years. Like he wants to be injured or something. Like he has any control over this. We heard some of that earlier. Let's get to some new content here from Lawrence Frank.
Do you guys want to be under the luxury tax this coming season? And number two, how do you guys navigate the financial kind of windfalls of trying to compete now and trying to compete for the future by adding players while making sure that you're not getting into the punitive measures of this new CBA?
Great question from Justin Russo.
Yeah. we have no issue being in the tax. And look, we're super fortunate that we have the chairman that we have in Steve Ballmer. And we never, ever take that for granted. At some point, whether it's this year or the following year, we probably won't be in the tax, just to reset the repeater, but there's no Steve Ballmer. And we never, ever take that for granted.
I need to hear this again. Also, this is really stupid. Cap, Atlanta, RB, sorry. Trae Young wants out, I heard. Somebody said, RB said maybe we can trade Powell for Trae Young. Good Lord, man. I think they can get a little bit more. I think they're not going to trade a younger player who's better for an older player who's worse. Why would they do that?
At some point, whether it's this year or the following year, we probably won't be in the tax. Just
at some year, this year, the following year, we probably won't be in the tax. I think it's 3 out of 5 years or 2 out of 3 to stop the repeater tax from happening.
To reset the repeater, but there's no issue with us being in the tax this season.
But he also said that they're going to have the non-taxpayer mid-level exception. So that kind of tells you they're going to be under the tax. They're going to be under the first apron again. Unless maybe it's just they're assuming here, if the right player came along, they would do it. The chance of that happening, a player good enough that they'd be okay going over the tax for, I think is unlikely. And that's where Lawrence Frank's coming from here.
Look, when you're in the delicate balance of when you're trying to be really good each year and yet also have pathways for a really bright future, you have to make hard decisions. It's what we talked about last year with PG. Like, we made a 3-year offer to PG. We made an offer in which we could have Kawhi, PG, James, and still add to the roster. Similar this year, we want to continue to add to the roster, but we'll have to make hard decisions. There may be a free agent there that, wants an additional year, and we'll have to, is it worth foregoing some of this space?
That could be the situation with Norm's extension.
Year, and we'll have to, is it worth foregoing some of this space? Or it may be current players that we have to make decisions with. But the most important thing, from Steve's standpoint, other than competing, is to make sure we're positioning ourselves so we are a contender and we have a sustainable runway. And like we talked about, we're very fortunate of not just where we're at geographically in Los Angeles, where players love to be, but also they understand that Steve runs an organization like no other chairman in sports, and it's going to be the best experience of their lives. And we're going to lean into that. So we have to have the capacity.
It is an easy sell to come to play for the Clippers now. What else do we got here? What else do we got? Okay, more from Lawrence Frank.
What type of players are you looking to add to that group of guys?
Yeah, well, I think in terms of, you're talking about in general or specifically with draft or free agency or just in general?
In general.
General?
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yes.
So I think in general, typically we use free agency to address needs. And until we know exactly what's going on with our own free agents, it's hard to identify, the exact needs. Obviously, front court help is, I think, important for us. We looked at that during the trade deadline. We'll continue to look at that in free agency. Another, playmaker. You can never have too many guys who can help relieve some of the pressure ball handling wise. Shooting is always a premium. In the draft, typically, you're always going for best available, especially if it's a younger player, because by the time that player hits his prime, the guys that he was, our team will be completely different. If we draft, like Cam Christie's 19 years old, 20 years old, like his prime is when he's 26. So, like, you know, that means guys like, you know, James, do the math, be 42, you know, so.
That is the right philosophy. You should go best available. If you worry about, oh, will the pieces fit next to guys who you have now with who you draft? It's like, no, because by the time they're ready to play, those guys could be gone. So you should always go best available in the draft.
You know, see, you're drafting best available, but we have certain characteristics that we really prioritize. Positional size is important to us, you know.
So not small guards. So maybe Trae Young just would not be of interest to them. I don't know. I've always thought, like, yeah, it doesn't really fit his philosophy. But if Trae Young becomes available and there's slim pickings in future years of guys you could get, is that just the guy you have to go after? I don't know.
We have certain characteristics that we really prioritize. Positional size is important to us. You know, basketball IQ and processing is important to us. You know, the ability to pass, dribble, and shoot is important to us. And then some of the, you know, kind of the DNA, the makeup, you know, the toughness, the competitiveness, you know, examples of where they've really shown resilience and grit. So there's a lot of things into it, but those typically are kind of in general how we look at it.
More from Lawrence Frank. What do we got here?
Trenton, again.
Oh, talking about Trenton Flowers.
Trenton, again, similar to Cam, you know, showed some really, really good signs with San Diego. He actually, his rate of improvement with his shot, not just in game, but also by our NOAA data, made huge progress, which was great to see. I think we want to see how can his athleticism transfer more on the defensive end. He's an athletic north to south offensive player. We got to get him athletic east to west as a defensive player.
I like that. Trent Flowers, I like. He's got potential.
That makes sense. And, you know, I think with young guys, what you try to do is you try not to overload them. So you basically give them three things. Let's focus on these three things, and let's make sure our work is directed towards those three objectives and to see how we do. So interesting, you know, group. And then the last one with Seth Lundy, who's been coming back from ankle surgery. Don't have, you know, we don't obviously, all we have is his work, and we're trying to rehab him back to health. Love his shooting piece, love his makeup. We just have to get him healthy. He's working at it extremely hard, and time will tell when we can get him back on the court. And I think with all those guys, as we look, we'll look at the summer, you know, in terms of summer league, and look at, you know, some different opportunities to expose that whole group to live game competition against their peers.
Seth Lundy was a shooting guard out of Penn State that was drafted 46th in the second round by the Atlanta Hawks. The Clippers brought him in. He's been hurt. He hasn't played yet. Here's about Cam Christie.
In regards to the two ways for Cam, love his intelligence, love his confidence. The number one thing we have to do, we got to get Cam stronger. And similar to his brother Max, you know, you look at his body development, we're hopeful that Cam can make that same jump, because some of his deficiencies are directly related just to his youth and just him needing to get stronger. Next will be he's gonna have to be a more consistent shooter. He's very streaky. He's got to become consistent. High IQ defender, and I think as he gains more strength, he'll become more physical. Patrick Baldwin, we had, you know, for 2 months and been in the gym, obviously, since the season ended. You know, a lot of times he comes in twice a day. Very interesting prospect, because despite, you know, being with two different organizations, he's 23 years old. 6'11", who can dribble, pass, and shoot.
Patrick Baldwin's shot looked nice in very limited time.
I think the challenge for him is defensively is, you know, either A, if he's going to play the four, then the ability to be able to guard on the perimeter and slide his feet. If he's going to be a range shooting five, then what are you going to do from a rim protection standpoint, or pick and roll coverage? You know, how diverse is your skill set? How many coverages can you do against NBA competition? And so we're interested in his development.
I'm interested in Patrick Baldwin. More from Lawrence Frank. What do we got here?
Lawrence, you mentioned young guys in general. I just want to be more specific. Like, what's the plan for not just Kobe, Jordan, and Cam Christie, but you got 3 two-way contracts on your team that are all quite interesting, that offer different things, and Seth and Trent and Patrick Baldwin Jr. Like, what do you expect from those guys this summer, and what's the plan for them that you need to see from those guys going into next season to put pressure on T. Lue to get rotation opportunities?
Okay, so it's a little bit out of order. We heard the second part of this talking about the players individually. Here's more of a general thought about the young guys.
Yeah, so I come from the school of Coach Parcells when it comes to young players, where having great patience while still, you know, making sure that there's accountability to the plan. So the first year, basically, we give them the benefit of the doubt. Not necessarily, I mean, there's great structure and our coaches do an unbelievable job, but before casting judgment, saying, you know, what we think about this guy as a player. The second year, there has to be some evidence now. Okay, you got the blind faith. Now there has to be some evidence. The third year, it's show me. You either can or you can't. So I think this.
Jordan Miller and Kobe Brown, I believe next year, that's year 3. That's the show me year. Either you can or you can't. I would argue, I don't know if I've seen enough evidence with Kobe in year 2. I hope I'm wrong. I see some evidence with Jordan Miller this year. We shall see. This is the show me year coming up for them.
There has to be some evidence. The third year, it's show me. You either can or you can't. So I think this is a critical year for Kobe and Jordan. Both those guys, they haven't really had, haven't really been in the rotation. I mean, Jordan got a little taste when Norm missed some early games. Kobe, when he would have gotten a chance, unfortunately, he hurt his back. And, there were some games there where he would have had a chance to play. It didn't. So those guys work extremely hard behind the scenes. We didn't expose them to as many G League games in San Diego that we did the year before, just because there was a potential for those guys to get in the game.
All right. What else do we got? Okay, this is him talking towards the fans a little bit.
Thank you guys for coming. See you
Thanks, Lawrence.
at the draft.
Yeah, and hey, Dennis, am I still there? Do you guys come?
Yep, we got you.
Yeah, I just, being here now, I think this is year 11. I have a deep affinity for this organization and for the people who follow them, like you guys, but also for our fans and for the super, 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 super fans, like the super passionate fans. Obviously, I got the maddest respect for, guys like Billy Crystal and Jim Brooks, and there's tons of that. But the fans that, whether they're on podcasts or they're blogging or, Xing or tweeting or blue skying or whatever it is, it's, because when you're in LA, similar to when you're in New York, although it's a little different, you have a choice. Okay. If you're an NBA fan, you can be a Laker fan or you can be a Clipper fan if you're going to. And so I have a deep appreciation for our fans and the passion that we have. And for so many years, in terms of, being looked at in a certain way. And now for this year to be in the building that you guys are at, we get to come to work at it. It's a privilege every day, but for our fans and to have that, and for the passionate ones, I also want to give a special shout out to, guys like Brian Seaman and Jimmy Jackson and the Czar, my man Carlo, is everyone lives it and passionate, and it means a lot. I've been with different NBA teams, different markets, and I have a deep affinity for the Clipper fans and all the Clipper supporters, because you do have a choice, and we appreciate appreciate those that choose us. So thank you.
Thanks, El.
I'll try not to get too jealous for not getting a shout out there, but I think that was a great Lawrence Frank comment there, addressing the fans and the supporters and how much you guys mean to this organization. Probably a good place to end this. I think we've been on for a while. There was another video that we started with. This is part 2 because that video, unfortunately, we lost our connection for a little bit, so we had to start over here. But if you missed part 1, make sure to check that out. I appreciate you guys. It's been day 213 of Clipper Stock. 213 days straight for you. Of course, I had to do a show today with Lawrence Frank and his exit interview. Love y'all. Everyone be good. I know this season did not end the way we wanted it to again. Try to get to that point where you can appreciate, though, all the highs and even some of the lows. This is the journey. This is what it's going to take to eventually get to the top of the mountain. Got to be there for all of it. As I said before, ain't no sweet without the sour. I know you've had plenty of it, which will make it taste so sweet when the Clippers finally win the championship. It will happen. I don't know if I will be on with you guys tomorrow. The streak may end, but I do know this. Before we're out of here today, guess who just called in? Clavon from Michigan. Take us out the right way.
Woo! I'm always called with the same energy, Adam. All right? Hey, Clippers fans, man, stop talking about all this trade noise, man. Y'all so quick to give up. Oh, we trade James Harden. And we change Powell. Man, stop that shit, man. Do y'all understand what we have is golden? Okay, man. Hey, it didn't go the way we wanted it to. That's all right, man. Shit happens like that. You know, we got tariffs and all kind of shit going on. Shit happens. But don't be so quick to give up on what we have. Lawrence Frank, Adam, on some real shit. I like that. I'm glad that you played that info that Lawrence Frank gave, because that's something that I wanted to know more of so far as developing the talent we have. Because, hey, we still got it. We got some wonderful players. All it's about is making everybody meld. We got a whole year with Bogey. We got a whole year with key players. Everybody just hell bent on trying. Well, let's bring in Trae Young. Let's bring this and that. Yo, man, y'all thinking that lightning can't strike twice. You out your damn mind, okay? We all trying to catch a ride on the Clipper. So we can cut through these motherfuckers like we cut through them waves, okay? Everybody's all in their feelings and shit, man. You better look, man. We're looking forward to the next season. Like I said, I'm a Cali native. Only thing I got looking forward to right here in Michigan is when it gets cold is basketball season. Damn it. Hey, it's a sunny day right now, man. It's been cold. Look, shit happens, man. The clouds is going to come, but we look forward to that brighter day. Stop all this talking about trying to get rid of these key players that made this happen. You ain't no real Clippers fan if you talking about that, man. Get your ass out of here with that noise. You might as well go on across the street and run to the mustard yellow Lakers, man. I heard my man call in earlier too, Adam. You know what I'm saying? He trying to, if this and that and the third and shit. Man, y'all, I don't know how Lakers fans, I don't know how y'all minds work, man. Because I'm a Clippers fan. But I'm going to keep it 100 and real. The key pieces that we have now, it's all just about development.
Guys,
Probably them
Can
damn
you-
Lakers, man.
can you hear us now? How about now? Guys, can you hear us now? Are we coming through? Are you able to hear us? Hold on for me, Clavon. Check, check, 1, 2.
No problem.
Check, check. Check, check. Check, check. All right, I'm gonna restart.
Yep,
Okay,
yep, I
we're
can hear it
back.
now.
We're
I can
back.
hear it.
We're back. We're back. Okay, Clavon, I want you to start where you left off of talking about what you were doing during game 7, eating a bowl of cereal. Start there and roll.
Damn. Hey, man, I try to be easy on the cereal, man, but damn, I was so depressed, man. I had 2 bowls of honeycomb. You understand? I had 2 bowls of it. I'm like looking at the fourth quarter like, damn. And as I'm sitting there eating my honeycomb with my almond milk, I was like, damn, man, this shit is embarrassing. But, you know, around that time, they had brought in our youthful talent. And let me tell you something. Just that little bump, I mean, it was garbage minutes and we was at the end. But I think we were like 6 minutes into the fourth quarter. Hey, man, they came out there and they injected some necessary spirit and energy on the floor to the point where they had to put in the starters again. I thought Jokic and everybody was out for the rest of the game. They had to put them back in. Damn, man, I've been saying that ever since they let the young guys get in there and play when we played the Boston Celtics. I think it was like the last time that we played them, and we almost won. I mean, Avisa, Zubac, everybody was sitting on the bench. And no, I think Zubac was still playing, but Harden, Kawhi, Powell, everybody was sitting on the bench, and it was just the young guys out there. And the reason I always bring that up is because, man, we had Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, all right? And I think it's always detrimental to give players that much time to develop because we lost a gem, you know, and I would hate to see that happen again because I know we have them, and I think that's why it's necessary. Like, listen to Lawrence Frank, and, man, that boosted my spirit. I'm trying to hurry up and get to the crib so I can go ahead and get you a call because I'm like, hold up. What he's saying is key. I've been waiting to hear that. Yeah, let's hear about the youthful talent that we have, man. That shit is necessary. Like I said, I don't know why they didn't play the percolator, Big Coffee. But played Coffee. What we got this game 7? Man, hell, I'm doing everything but putting Brian Shaw back in the goddamn game and Tyronn Lue. All right? Look, put these individuals in the game. Fuck it. What do we have to lose? All right? Don't keep going with the same thing and the same thing. Oh, maybe I'll pick up now. They needed some life injected into them. And I think once our pace was down, you know, Denver took advantage of that shit. Now, we still, you know, put some hella defense on Jokic, like you were saying earlier. Hey, Jokic didn't have a good game, but everybody else picked up on it because after 7 games, you start seeing certain things that a team does, and you start getting acclimated to their weaknesses and the things that they don't offer and how they're not playing. Like, I think one of the key things when we did start coming back in this series is, you know, you started seeing Ty Lue and the coaching staff, they started switching up players and putting different lineups in there. Like, I think it was a lineup where it was like Batum, I think it was Batum, Dunn, Derek Jones Jr., and I know Ben Simmons, and I forgot who else. But my point is, they did a very good job, and it threw Denver Nuggets, it threw them for a loop. When you keep doing the same fucking thing, right, and expecting a different outcome, that shit is insanity. And I think that when we switched that lineup like that, it threw them off. They were like, damn, they didn't expect Nico Batum to come in there and that's when we first started really seeing him go against Jokic and shit. He was putting a body on him. He was going out there getting blocks. He was getting key 3-pointers. That shocked them. We took away the shock factor by putting the same thing out there. We couldn't expect them not to be prepared for after what we did to them, you know, in Game 6. Yo, they were prepared. And we did the same thing we did all throughout the series, and it threw our pace off, and they predicted it. They already knew who was going to pass to. That's why they were cutting off the passing lane. And they were setting it up in the rotation. And you're right, Denver Nuggets, I think that was his last name, Brown. Yo, he did get some good minutes in 2023. You know what I'm saying? So the confidence was there. But it took a lot for them to even do that as a young player. They invested in him early. And look at the payoff. You have to invest in the youth that you have. Stop trying to always trade and shit. I'm listening. I'm sitting here listening to the whole podcast. You know what I'm saying? Adam and Cass is coming. They call it in and they're adding, oh, well, we should do this. Or try to get Trae Young. And man, y'all are crazy as fuck, man. Why y'all always trying to break up a good team? That's the problem. So what? When shit fell through for the Celtics, was they supposed to go and make all of these fucking trades and take this and that? No, man. They came back and they utilized the pieces that they had, and guess what? They had them for a whole year, and they were a lot tighter. We have a great team. We still got a great team, and I think that just developing what we have is the key thing. Now you can't. There's certain individuals like Coffee, like you brought up. That might not be back, you know, certain free agent that might go to free agent. We don't know. All right, we can talk about that shit then. But right now, going into a camp with the pieces that we have, man, look, it's going to be golden next year, Adam. It's going to be golden. So all this talk, Clippers fans, y'all on the comment board, shut that shit up. Shut it up. All right? We lost. Fuck it. But we got what we need to win a championship. Well, can we pick up a couple more key players? Yeah, of course. That's always in there. But we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. But stop giving up. If you're a real Clippers fan, stop giving up on what's there. But goddamn it, James Harden got us to that point. Jokic didn't have a good game, but what the fuck did the team around him do? They picked up the slack. Even had Westbrook telling us to get the fuck out of there. And I'm going to have to give everybody their flowers, especially if you was a former Clipper. Yo, man, I'm glad to see Westbrook in a better place. When everybody was saying he couldn't do it and he was trash and garbage, man, that motherfucker played, all right? Westbrook came out there. He's from Cali, and he played, all right? And me and Adam was talking about that. He came out there, and I think he was a key piece. Why? Because he injects life into their lineup.
Yeah, he also went 8 for 42 for the Clippers last year in their playoff series, the last 5 games, but whatever.
Hey, but you know what he did? I remember what they were talking about behind the scenes. And mind you, you know, when you have, you know, legends battling playing time, it's gonna have a mental effect on you, right? Because right now he's in a whole different place. He's not playing on a team filled with everybody, these great legends that are going down in NBA history vying for play. You know what I'm saying? So he ain't have to worry about that. So I think that affected him, you know, last year too. But one thing that I always heard was the bench, and the young players, they were always speaking highly of him because he incorporated them, and it's an honor because we all grew up seeing Westbrook play, you know what I'm saying, doing some legendary shit, and it was like, damn, yo, this is Westbrook. Nigga, I grew up seeing him, I seen him playing for the OKC and he was busting. Like, yeah, that type of star power and just keeping it real with cats that don't get seen often, like Trent Flowers and these different cats that don't get seen often, just behind the scenes for them to be able to sit down with somebody like that and actually practice with them, and even outside of the game, that builds your confidence, man. So I think that, James Harden did a lot of that this year. But to see him, see Westbrook go and do that shit, even though
congrats to Russ in Denver, but I don't want to talk about them anymore.
Oh, yeah. Hey, man, fuck Denver for life, man. Shit. The Denver McNuggets, all right? Real shit. But we're going to give our players, former Clippers, you know what I'm saying? We're going to give y'all the flowers while you're here. You know what I'm saying? And that just goes to show everybody looking at players like, oh, they done, they can't develop. Hey, you can teach your old dog new tricks if his ass is willing to roll over. You know what I'm saying? And I think that, so for everybody to look at these players and think that they can't develop a shot, like I've been saying, I've been a big fan of seeing Zubac. He will be an all-star next year. Seeing him develop his range, man. Yeah, man, I think that he can have a nice little mid-range shot. You know what I'm saying? Like, hey, his range is just improving. So it's all about improving the pieces that you have so that, players like James Harden and players like Kawhi Leonard don't have to overexert themselves. Jokic was able to take a back seat to let the rest of his team come in, and guess what? They showed up, man.
That's true.
And they showed up, and they showed the fuck out. So it's like, this is the same understanding that we have to have in Clipper Nation, man. Stop being so quick to give up on the players that we have, man, because they powerful. Now, that's one thing if they do some Paul George shit and they turn down a contract, because that was reasonable. They offered Paul George that 3 years, what is it, 150? So they'll have.
Given the season he had, it was more than reasonable.
Come on now. Exactly. Especially being injury prone. My thing was just like, shit, he wanted something greater. He wanted more money, and hey, he got that shit. But guess what? Now, Philadelphia 76ers is ass. They are ass hat right now. You know what I'm saying? So it didn't go too great for them. He's getting paid more, but sometimes you have to sacrifice the bag to get where you really want to be as a team, man. You know what I'm saying? And I think that looking forward and having the ability to do that, I think players should always consider that, man. If you really want to get to that ship, and especially if your years are expiring fast, then that's necessary. Nico Batum coming back, man, shit. When you said that, man, I put a pep in my step. I was like, damn, we're going to have a flying Frenchman back. You can't say all of this about this age bullshit looking at Nico Batum alone and James Harden. You can't say shit. You can't say they can't do this and they can't do that. Man, he old and, these ain't no PJ Tuckers, man. All right? These are cats that still got it in them. They still got the dog in them. Even LeBron James. You know what I'm saying? They still got the dog in them. Now, are they using it? Hey, I don't know what the hell LeBron James is eating or drinking and shit. I'm much to Tracy McGrady when he said, I hope you're doing it the right way. I would hate to hear LeBron James is, messing with some kind of wild stuff. I have to keep it real, Adam. I got to. I would hate to hear that. But, if you're doing it the right way, you're taking care of your body, and you developing any of your weaknesses that you have, you know what I'm saying? Then you.
I hear all you need to be superhuman is 2 scoops of honeycomb.
Shit. Well, I was about to flip through the roof, man. Shit, almost, man. Look, you were probably seeing some shit on news, Adam. I was like, man, let me calm down, man. I had to cut the TV off, dog. You know what I'm saying? It was probably like 1 minute left. I just cut the fucking TV off. It was a wrap. I almost turned into that honeycomb monster with all the hair on his ass and shit. Man, I was gonna go ham, dog. But it's all right, man. Hey, it's the end of the season. You had a great season. Don't ever knock that, man. Even though it's the first round, we had a great season. We got great pieces added on to it. We got Kawhi Leonard back. I think that was, Lawrence that was saying, when you're rehabilitating, you know what I'm saying, you don't really have the ability to get better. You're just trying to, condition yourself so you can get back in the playing, the playing caliber. And so I think that Kawhi Leonard being healthy and looking forward, Lord bless you, stay healthy, man, he's going to be able to dig even deeper in that bag, especially if he's healthy for a whole season. Man, bro, I'm telling you something. Shit, boy. I got my Kawhi Leonard jersey. I don't give a fuck if we lost. I'm going to be walking around Michigan, goddamn it, with my Pacific blue jersey on, still repping, okay? Because I know that the team that we have is better than most other teams that we've had for a long time. And if we can maintain those key pieces, and I ain't worried about the mustard yellow Lakers. I ain't worried about none of them. The Baker, Snaker Lakers, none of that, man. Why? Because if we keep playing the way we do and just upgrade the energy that we have, shit, man, we're going to be the face of the city in no time. You know what I'm saying? We'll fuck around and you're going to see them big posters and might have a statue of Kawhi Leonard in front of the Intuit Dome or something. We're going to do something. But y'all that's out there hating and you supposed to be a Clipper fan, you better get all of that trade shit out your mind. Stop doing that, man. Let's work with the pieces that we have. Let's develop youth that we have. And goddamn it, we got great announcers. And yeah, hey, I see it. You didn't get no shout out, Adam, but that's all right, man. There's always next season because we going to give you your shout out. We going to give you your flowers, all right? Because look, shit, man. Ain't nobody else giving none of these Clipper fans an opportunity to call in and put them wise words on the line and put that Clipper spirit on the line. You know what I'm saying? So, hey, let's cut all of that out. Adam, you a real one. Keep doing it, man. We appreciate your work. And like I said, I've been riding with you. I can't say from day one, but goddamn it, I've been there for a minute. That's why I remember the water bottle situation. You know what I'm saying? So we had a great year. And I think that, you know what I'm saying, next season, we're going to have an even greater season. And I look forward to it, man. That's going to be my sunshine. That's going to be my Cali sunshine to keep my ass warm while I'm over here in Michigan when it get cold again. And so I guarantee you, next year, if everything in the country is stabilized, with a lot of things going on and stuff, everything is cool, I'm going to see you face to face, Adam. I'm gonna holler at you in that booth. You're going to see me in my Clippers joint. I'm going to probably have my sons with me. And, man, we're going to put up that real Clipper spirit. Feel me? Because we need it, man.
Let's go. Clavon, 30 more seconds. Pump us up for the offseason. Give us some hope.
Hey, man, the hope is there. The hope is alive. You understand? We got an Intuit Dome. We had our first motherfucking real season, all right? And we went up and we did what we had to do. God damn it, we fell short, but that's fine. Because coming in the next year, we're going to go past 55 games. God damn it, we're going to come in and we're going to have a phenomenal year. And we're going to have Kawhi Leonard for the whole year and James Harden. And everybody's going to play with confidence. And guess what? We're going to have a fully developed bench coming in. And we're going to have some youth in there. We're going to help Camp Christie. We're going to give him them shout-outs so he can get bulked up and be a more consistent shooter. And we're going to fuck around and tell Ben, we're going to tell Ben, put that shit up, Ben. And he's going to put it up. God damn it, because I'm telling you, when it comes and when it happens, everybody's jaw going to hit the floor. And we're going to cut their ass in half like a clipper cut through waves, Adam. I'm going to keep listening. We're going to stay in contact. Let's get it, Clipper Nation. Get your head out your ass. Stop looking down, man. We got next season. Let's get it. Woo!
Clavon from Michigan. What a send-off into the offseason. Now it's official. Need to hear from Clavon. Hell of a phone call. I'm hyped. This may be the end of the streak, though, guys. Unless there's breaking news tomorrow, which I would not expect. I think 213 days is enough. This has been Clippers Talk. I'm Adam Osland. We will talk to you soon. I'm not sure when, but it doesn't mean I'm not thinking about you guys and the Clippers. I love you all. The streak ends at 213 straight days here on Clippers Talk. Be good. Love your neighbor. You know what? I ain't gonna get off here without doing it right.
Off the air.